Okay. Webinar is now streaming live on Facebook. Hooray.
Yay.
All right. Aloha. My name is Kelly Mchugh White. I'm the Director of Marketing and Development at Pacific Well Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today for episode 6 of the new PWF podcast, featuring dedicated professionals talking story about responsible whale watching, rethinking purchases for the good of the ocean, ways to engage youth in STEM learning, moments of inspiration, and more. You can learn more at pacificwhale.org/podcast, our new page. Before we begin, I just want to say how much we all appreciate your warm support as we continue to transition our program engagement to a web-based environment through opportunities like these in order to sustain our connections. The role that Pacific Well Foundation plays in keeping people connected for the sake of the environment is incredibly important right now. If we all take the proper precautions and continue to treat each other with kindness and care, we'll get through this together. Mahalo to those that have joined our $5 fundraiser at pacificwhale.org/donate. You can also visit this link for web addresses to all of our e-communications outlets. We've got a ton of webcasts and webinars and podcasts and virtual whale watches. Every single day, we're putting out a new e-product. That's our goal as we get through this COVID pandemic together. Today, I am joined by my boss's bosses, the volunteer board of directors of Pacific Whale Foundation. And I'd like to introduce them here. We have Wayne White, who is the former chief of the Endangered Species Program with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Can you wave to us, Wayne? Next, we have Mary Kate Rozak, a marketing professional and certified nonprofit manager.
Hello.
Hi, MK. Courtney Hathaway, certified public accountant, who's right here on Maui. Courtney. And Bob Wood, technology infrastructure management professional. Hi, Bob.
Wow.
Aloha. Let's begin. MK, please tell us where you are on the planet right now and how the COVID pandemic is impacting your community right now before we get started.
I am in Orlando, Florida. So I'm actually in Orange County, one of the hardest hit counties in Florida. So I'm doing my part, trying to flatten the curve and stay inside. So our community has been responding pretty good. Our governor has asked that we all stay inside, and it seems like people are listening to that. So trying to do my part. I'm working from home for my day job and just kind of staying put, hoping that we can all get back to normal soon.
Happy that you're healthy and safe. Wayne, where are you in the world?
Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm just out of Sacramento, California in Citrus Heights, and tired of looking at the walls in the house. It quit raining, so I've been doing projects trying to get my gardens ready and a few other things, but I'm what I like to refer to as completing a lot of honeydews.
Oh, right on. How about you, Bob? Where are you calling in from today, and how is COVID treating your community right now?
Hi, I'm actually on the island of Maui still. I've been here since November of last year. My wife and I have a single family home, and we've been painting our home as a to-do list project that's been escaping us for the last couple of years. We're also staying in contact with our neighbors across the fences, so not too close. And I think Hawaii has done a marvelous job of trying to keep this pandemic under control in their areas. They were early adopters of stay at home, also early adopters of looking at folks who are coming on and off the islands from other areas and also between islands. And for those results, I think we have a very low infection rate and fortunately an extremely low death rate at this point.
Right. Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
Where are you calling from?
I'm on Maui. My husband and I moved here in January 2018. So I actually, in some ways, this hasn't been quite as disruptive for me. I actually work from home most of the time, but it's been definitely a change being at home all the time.
Yeah.
But I echo Bob's thoughts. I think local leadership has done a really good job, especially here on Maui. I mean, I definitely think Victorina has done a very good job. And, for the most part, everybody seems to be complying with the stay-at-home orders, and everybody, for the most part, as far as I can tell, is showing a lot of aloha. So it's been great.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all for coming together. You're our board, you're definitely our foundation of the foundation, and it's really exciting to get you all in one place at one time. I really appreciate how busy each of you are, so thanks for being here. Let's start with MK. What is your earliest experience with Pacific Whale Foundation?
Probably 5 or 6 years ago, my uncle Arthur and Aunt Michelle adopted me a whale for Christmas. So thanks to them, I fell in love with the foundation from afar. And I think it was actually Mchugh that they had adopted for me. So I started reading up on all the research, education, conservation efforts of Pacific Whale Foundation. And when I came to Maui on vacation, fell in love and went on as many whale watches as I could that week. So it's been about 5 or 6 years that I've been following the organization from afar, and then almost 2 years in June that I've been on the board.
And you've adopted several animals since that first adoption for you, haven't you?
I love our adopt program. So I do that. It makes great gifts, especially right now with a lot going on. It's a very thoughtful gift you can give for birthdays or for the holidays. I also love our Name a Whale or Name a Marine Mammal program. So I've named a few animals after important pets or people in my life. So that's really fun too.
Thank you for your support. Courtney, what's your earliest memory with Pacific Whale Foundation or experience?
So back when we moved in 2018, my family flew out to help us move as well, and we all went on a whale watch out of Lahaina. And we were just blown away by the experience. I'd been on whale watches in other regions of the country, but nothing like this. And it definitely didn't take us long to realize what a huge part of Maui's culture the whales and whale season really are. You see all kinds of people parked on the side of the roads watching the whales, people driving slow, trying to see whales out the window. So, and actually, a funny little anecdote, when we first moved, we quickly realized, oh, we need to get binoculars so that we can look for whale activity, off the coast. Well, apparently everybody had that idea because we had to go to several different stores before we could even find binoculars in stock. So now I have my binoculars. But between that and how much we enjoyed our whale watch, we knew we wanted to become, Pacific Whale Foundation members, and we've had that membership, ever since we moved.
How about you, Bob? I know you've been part of the foundation for a very long time.
Yes, my wife and I have been coming to the island since 1992, and then in 2008 we finally caught up with the Pacific Whale Foundation and their activities, and we joined as members and started taking Eagle cruises at the time. And then in 2013, I got a chance to retire and come to the island full time, but my wife was still working. So after about 3 weeks of me relaxing on the lanai and her beating the keyboard, she looked at me and said, "Get out." And so I went over to the foundation and said, "I'm here a lot longer than just short visits. I'd like to volunteer, put me to work." And at the time, Kelly Vo was working with the volunteers, and she said, "Let's go." And since then, I've been doing a lot of work with membership and giving. I was a participant in the Ocean Ambassador Program, and then finally specialized in Keiki Whale Watch Ocean Ambassador Management, and have been on a number of those projects and whale watches over the past few years.
I remember the first time we sat together, you had 13 years of experience in the volunteer department, and we're doing a lot of work in that area right now. So it's so helpful to have your experience in that arena. Thank you.
Glad to have it to be available to you.
And Wayne.
Actually, it's kind of coupled with an experience that changed my life, I guess the way I would put it. But one of my first trips over to Maui, my mother had a timeshare out at Napili Bay, and we came out, my wife and I, and we were staying at Kanapali Beach, and we came in from the West Coast and waking up early, so I'd go down to the gym and work out. And was on the treadmill one morning, was looking out at the ocean, and all of a sudden, a humpback leaped out of the water. I almost fell off the treadmill. and it's never been the same. I mean, I got an undergraduate and graduate degree in biological science with an emphasis on marine biology and ichthyology, but never had I seen a whale. So that kind of changed. So the following trips, we would partake in the services that and opportunities that the foundation provides, and whale watches and island rhythm cruises and such, and began to know staff and got a little more involved watching the foundation.
Yeah, I know you love that Island Rhythms cruise, Wayne. That's your number one.
It's number one.
Love that. Well, thank you for sharing some of your early memories. It's always so interesting for me to hear from people that volunteer for the organization and give so much of themselves, kind of what the impetus was, right? What the initial inspiration for that was. It says a lot about the years to come. And I'm curious about what initiatives within the foundation's core nonprofit programs, research, education, and conservation resonate with you, and why? Who would like to begin?
I can start.
All right, Bob.
As I said earlier, I had gotten involved in the Keiki Whale Watch program, and I think it's a very important educational program. The basics are that the foundation will interact and engage youngsters throughout the education system on not only our island in Maui, but also Lanai and Molokai. And what we're attempting to do is to bring youngsters into a whale watch program in which we give them a classroom education. And then we actually take them on a whale watch where they can see the whales in their environment and get a much better understanding of what is there.
Yeah.
One of the things we think is important is that this is a way to ignite some of the passion in young individuals, and that they may become naturalists or eco-scientists somewhere down the line. And we really enjoy it when we see that spark in some of the youngsters' eyes as they see the whales.
Your timing is perfect. Go ahead.
It's also a bit of a way to help the community, because in having young children on Keiki on the boats, there's a safety factor. And so there are a lot of chaperones that come with these individuals. And in a lot of cases, these folks have never had a chance to be on a whale watch themselves either. So we're actually getting adults in the community out on the boats as well as the Keiki.
Yeah.
And it really is surprising to see and learn how much these folks enjoy the opportunity.
Your timing is perfect, because Robin, who runs the Keiki Whale Watch program, is releasing a Keiki Whale Watch video tomorrow as part of our commitment to release daily virtual products. And she's also done 2 YouTube live videos doing some of the Keiki Whale Watch classroom portion. And we're getting pictures from all over the planet of kids doing their projects at home and sending those to Robin after they're done. So it's been really exciting kind of seeing that program live on as best as it can virtually right now. So very timely. MK.
Research is such a big part of what we do. So for me, I'm really excited about all we're doing there. Wayne and I had a really unique opportunity when we were on island in February to go aboard the research boat, and they put us to work. So everyone on there is very engaged in doing active research. So Wayne and I had to get some training when we got on board and play different roles throughout the day, however we could help, from taking identification photos to inputting data on pods that we were seeing, et cetera. So I think Wayne did more jobs than I did. I kind of played photographer for the day because I love doing that. But it was really neat perspective to see all the work that Jens and Stephanie and their team are doing, and to get a really foundational understanding firsthand, seeing what we're doing with research.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was really, really exciting and impactful to see that firsthand. I don't know, Wayne, if you have anything else from that.
Oh yeah, it was a great day. They knew I could sit and record data. You know, the most important part about research is recording data. So that's kind of what I did that day. But we had some great whale sightings.
And MK, you mentioned that you were the photographer for the day, and I will say our free mobile app, Whale and Dolphin Tracker, is the #1 source of website hits on our website. So that's an opportunity for people to take fluke shots that they're taking on the water, submit them through our Whale and Dolphin Tracker app, and then our research team sees if they can find a match for those flukes. And then
Just really cool when it happens. So I took a picture, it was probably February of 2018 when I was on an island, and I always send in all my photos, even if I'm not quite sure if they're good enough, but I send them all in. And that summer I got a notification that it was a match they were able to make. So someone else had taken a picture, I think 2 years ago or so, and they were able to match the whale tail. So that was really cool. And then from there, if you've submitted the pictures or if you adopt the whale, you get updates on when they're spotted, which is really cool. So
yes, and you're our #1 adopter, as we mentioned in the Adopt program. So getting a match must have been so exciting.
very cool. Yes.
Yeah, and we actually, in Maui Ocean Center, which is a separate business next door, we have our Whale and Dolphin Tracker app live in their whale exhibit right now. So you can kind of follow the migratory patterns of whales, or just go to the website as well and see that app. So it's pretty cool, pretty neat. Thanks for being a part of that. Wayne, what's resonating with you in our research, education, and conservation right now?
Yeah, actually, no, it's the heart of the nonprofit. It's where our activities are. What I've been most pleased with since we came aboard with Christie's leadership, the executive director, we've reorganized and put those 3 programs under one director, provides for better coordination. They depend on one another. Information from one is used for the others. So this was really, I think, a major step to improve efficiency and the quality outputs that we provide.
Yeah, and that programs director, our first ever programs director, just started in the first week of February, which was right during our 40th annual Maui Whale Festival events here on island. So, woo, what a short learning curve he had to get in and get busy with everything that we're doing. So we're really excited to have him on. And
yeah, he gave us, the board, the chance to meet him too, because we had our on-island meeting then. So it was a pleasure to meet him, and we look forward to great things from that program to continue and get better.
Yeah, we do too. We're really excited about the reorg. Courtney, what's resonating with you right now for the research, education, and conservation programs at Pacific Whale Foundation?
I would say our reuse, refuse, and rethink program, which focuses on reducing the use of single-use plastics, really resonates a lot with me. And just overall, the foundation's focus on protecting the health of our oceans. You know, to me, we can't really protect whales without protecting their homes. So I think it all starts there. And you know, I don't think that's something that needs to necessarily be, you know, this politically heated or divided topic. You know, I think ultimately our oceans and the health of the oceans are really critical to sustaining all life on this planet. So to me, focusing on preventing damage and just educating the public on little steps that we can take in our daily lives to help, you know, reduce pollution, you know, reduce the use of plastics is I think a matter of survival for a lot of species, including us.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of engagement with our first podcast this is our 6th podcast now, but our first one was just a few weeks ago, and it was with Shelby, who runs our Rethink campaign. And for those of you watching on Facebook, every single week, Shelby's posting new Rethink videos, whether it's an at-home project that you can do right now during the stay-at-home order, or just different alternatives, right, to maybe your plastic bottle, like a hydro flask, or right, there you go, MK. We've all got them. Small changes you can make using a bamboo toothbrush rather than a plastic toothbrush. And I've seen so many interesting comments from people coming in saying, wow, those were so many different interesting ideas that I never thought about. And Shelby and I were thinking, well, thank God we recorded this, because we're so subjective at this point. We're just talking about things that we do with our everyday lives that listeners across, you know, our support system aren't really thinking about in their neighborhood. So it's really important, Courtney, you're right, to be focusing as much as we can on that campaign and talking about it, because you never know who's listening and what small change they can be making, right, in their life that's going to make a huge impact if we all make that change together. I want to move into how Pacific Whale Foundation is different from Pac Whale Eco Adventures. This is something that I've really focused on in the short time that I've been with the foundation, because there's a lot of questions about how Pac Whale is different than Pacific Whale, right? What is a social enterprise? How do the two work together and speak to one another? Do one of you want to talk about that a little bit? Just the main difference between Pacific Whale Foundation and Pac Whale Eco Adventures and how they interact?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
Yeah, because and I'll give, well, let's step back and do a little bit of history. So the foundation's been around for over 40 years, starting out focusing on the whales and research. And our founder, Craig Kaufman, saw opportunities that if we want to teach conservation and have people learn about whales, what better way to do it than get them out on a boat? So basically developed this social enterprise, the eco tours, as part of our program that provided educational opportunities, conservation opportunities, and collecting research data just on sightings. It did great things, but also generated funds, and those funds, those profits could be contributed to the foundation so we can continue to do our research and other programs. So it has great history, does a great good for the foundation because of the money it's generating, and bringing all of those hundreds of thousands of people over the years to go out and see whales. I mean, that's what got me over the top and changed my life. So it's happening to other people out there because of the program.
It starts with an inspirational moment, they say, kind of the path to creating new habits and kind of respecting the ocean ecosystem. You have to start with feeling inspired by it and then slowly move into understanding, and then from there into education. Last year, we served 318,000 passengers on our eco adventures. So quite a group of people that we can try to pull into our Rethink campaign and help us with our Kiki Whale Watch program, and help us submit those photos for our whale and dolphin tracker app. So it's such an important component to everything that we do. MK, did you want to add to that?
I think Wayne covered it pretty well. Really, everything Pac Whale Eco Adventures does supports Pacific Whale Foundation. So through the tours we're doing through our ocean stores, which I know Wayne and I love shopping at, everything we do there then supports our research, education, and conservation. So it is tough right now because our tours are shut down and our ocean stores because of the environment of what's going on with COVID-19. So that's why support is so critical, so we can maintain those research, education, and conservation programs and continue to bring you guys engaging content in the meantime until hopefully we're back to normal soon. So
I will say,
shirts and items from the online store.
that's exactly where I was going.
MK will buy them all out before you if you don't get on it right away.
Yeah, we have the e-commerce store that is totally up and running. So much focus and attention has been on shooting new product and getting it out there. And there are a lot of people in the world that really want to help, but they want something to show for it, right? They want their t-shirt or their hydro flask or their book, or, I mean, there's incredible eco products in there. And John, our retail director, has been working really, really hard to ensure that every day we have new product that's featured in there. So that's definitely a way that people can help right now, because all of those sales support the foundation work. And Wayne is our #1 shopper. Look, we have a #1 in every category here today.
No, MK has easily surpassed.
Oh
yeah.
There's lots of great gift options as well. So while you're sitting at home and social distancing, maybe you could get a few holiday gifts, start your list early. Maybe there's some birthdays coming up. So
yeah, there's some really fun stuff on there for all ages. And yeah, John's just an excellent merchandiser. So it's really fun to watch that product lineup change every single season as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to come on island to see the new products.
Good. Well, you can start now looking online, Wayne, because that's what we're trying to do right now. Make sure that we are engaging as many folks as we can in ways that they can be helping the organization. And I'm going to jump forward a little bit and talk about why it's so important to support conservation-based organizations and Pacific Well Foundation in a time like this. Maybe I'll start with Courtney this time.
Sure. I mean, it's a tough time right now, and I know probably a lot of us feel like our energy tank is running a little low. But what I've found personally helpful during this period and kind of affirming is looking forward to the world that I would like to see once this immediate crisis recedes. And I think that the work that the foundation is doing is a really important part of creating that ideal world. And when I think about just the past couple years, I feel like we've made such progress in educating the public, even just the stuff that I understand now about, thinking back to single-use plastic, what I understand now about the impact that that has and the things that we can do to mitigate that. I feel like we've made so much progress, even just in the past couple of years. And I think it's really important to keep that momentum going to the extent that we can. And I know it might be kind of difficult right now, but I think it's really worthwhile.
Yeah. So supporting conservation groups for the sake of preserving our natural resources and keeping the momentum going of all of the progress we've made in terms of rethinking single-use plastics. Like that. Bob, why do you think it's important to support nonprofits in a time like this?
I think it's
foundation.
Thank you. I think it's very important. It is necessary that we keep our eye on the ball and not let all the work that's been done over the last 40 years for this organization, plus just environmentally as a whole. Research is really based on a continuity of data collection, the ability to analyze it, to look forward and look back across that continuum. And if we have a significant gap in that collection or gap in those programs, it really is harmful. And the other is that we have an opportunity right now to do data work and collection work and research work around the globe in a situation we haven't seen ever in our lifetimes, where human activities have been completely changed without any planning or without any research or analysis on the potential consequences. And it would be great to be able to collect all that, and not only for ourselves, but also other environmental nonprofits. One of the things I think is interesting is that our research crew, following the stay-at-home requirements, has not been able to get out on the water, and they are itching to get back into play. As soon as they possibly have the chance, they're going to get back out there and they're going to start doing research work. And it's really important that we have the funding to allow them to do that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because I am getting a lot of questions on social media asking what we're finding right now, right, with the lack of vessel operators on the water. What are we seeing in terms of whale behaviors? What's the research? What's the data? And because we're not considered an essential business, we can't have our researchers out on the water right now, right? We can't be running any kind of ops. And unfortunately, we've had to furlough the majority of our staff just to try to stay afloat throughout this really tough time for the organization. So with support, we'll be able to get back out on the water as soon as this stay-at-home order is lifted. Yeah.
And I'd also like to add as a reminder that nonprofits do not always mean non-pay. There are a lot of folks that are earning a living and supporting families and supporting the communities with the things that they do that a nonprofit is taking care of. So by not having a stream of revenue, in reality, we're affecting those folks that are just like you and I, that are still dependent on a stream of money to make a living.
That's right. Thank you. Mr. Wayne?
Yeah, let me add a little bit to what Bob said. I mean, we do such important work, and times right now are trying for everybody. What's going on in the world, can in part be caused by climate change. So it's important that we continue our research and study for all aspects of the environment. And we do such great work. One of the things that we have been pushing hard from the board down through the programs, is to build additional partnerships with other researchers, other nonprofits, so that we become more efficient and synergistically produce much better products and more products. So I think it's important that we continue to support the programs. One of the things that came out of the CARE Act, and Kelly, I think you have a little bit more information on this, but as I understand it, donations to nonprofits are now tax deductible again under the Act. So for those of you that kind of lost some initiative to do donations to nonprofits because they were taken away, we now have them back again. So it's a great opportunity to benefit yourself with a tax deduction for the contributions you make to the foundation.
Yeah, and one message we've been trying to share is that right now, generally as the director of development, I'm making large asks, and I'm asking people to become conservationist, educator, advocate level members of the organization that make really incredible contributions to the organization. But right now is not the time to be asking for those larger donations. If people can, that's absolutely incredible. But because we've touched so many people, I mean, we have 250,000 followers on Facebook. We reach 400,000 people every year through our programs and services. We're crunching all the numbers and saying, hey, if anybody that's following us right now just pitched in $5, that would keep us on our feet for a really long time. So we're starting to host this $5 fundraiser, and that's at pacificwhale.org/donate. And we're seeing some really exciting support come through there. And we just want to try to sustain that as much as we can through the next month, probably several months, until we can get back on our feet. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, everybody should contribute 5 or more if they can.
Yeah. Makes a huge difference. Like that small impact, people feel that it's such a small number. But again, if we can get,
when you add it up,
Yeah. So that's our big ask right now. Our big ask is $5, and
right.
if you can help with that, super appreciated. MK.
A lot of great stuff's already been said. So I think just jumping in on one thing you said earlier, how last year 319,000 people came aboard a whale watch, right? So unfortunately, with our operations shut down, that's a lot of people we're not able to reach to inspire them. Wayne talked about the first time he saw a whale from the treadmill and almost fell off. I remember the first time I saw whales on Maui. I've done a lot of whale watching a lot of places, and I've never been anywhere where you can just sit on the side of the road and see them, right? Usually you're going out to find them. And I remember going on Ocean Spirit for the first time, and how amazing of a whale watch experience that is, and how intimate, with the humpback whales coming right up to the boat and going underneath it. So at a time like this, I think it's important to continue support, whether you can give $5 or $10, or even if you can't, through engaging on content and maybe sharing some of the different podcasts or different webinars that we have to keep the word spread. Because a lot of people get inspired when they come on whale watches and they learn about what we're doing, and through our naturalists talking about all of our research and education and conservation, that kind of lights a fire and gets them inspired to do better around the world. So without that tool, it's kind of hard in the meantime. So I think anything you can do, even if it's financial or even just sharing the word, is important.
Equally important, for sure. That's, a lot of people are saying, how can I help? I've already donated to the $5 fundraiser. What's next? I'm saying, just share the podcast, the webcast, the webinar. We've got a couple of classrooms. I know Montessori School of Maui is showing some of our programming in their virtual classrooms right now. So the more people that we can get with their eyes and ears on this content that we're putting out, the more our mission is spreading, right? And we're doing better for the ocean and for the environment and really for our community. It's just really important to get more eyes and ears on this content.
Help us spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word. Yeah, absolutely. And I also should say, because we're on Facebook Live right now, that I've got a list of about 20,000 really engaged email recipients right now. That I'm sending email to every single week to let them know what our lineup is in terms of Last week, we shared the full version of A Voice for Wales, the biopic of our founder, Greg Kaufman, and then we did a Q&A with the director, Salket Kaufman, and we were able to release that, and we just got so many interesting comments and questions throughout that webcast. So we just want to make sure more people know about those opportunities in advance so that they can get their questions asked while we're doing those live. And if people do miss them and maybe they're watching this recording a little bit later, we're still going to be logging on to anything that's passed. I know our entire board of directors here will be responding to questions that folks that are watching right now might have after. And these are the leaders of our organization. This is where you're going to get your questions answered. So it's a really awesome opportunity. And again, thank you for offering to do that. And so we talked earlier about your earliest experience with the foundation, but I want to talk a little bit more about the moment you decided to apply for the board of directors. I mean, clearly this is a really tight group of, some might argue the biggest ocean advocates in the world, right? We've got operations in Ecuador and Australia and here in a project in Chile. And I mean, the four of you are what's carrying this organization forward. So it's a huge commitment. It's a lot of work. It's quite a heavy kuleana. What inspired you initially to make that commitment, Wayne?
Yes, well, I'll kind of continue my first story about my first time seeing the whale jump out of the water and almost fall off the treadmill. The following years, we would always try to come over during February. Imagine why. And my sister, who then moved to the island later, actually began to volunteer for the foundation and then work for them for a while. So I would hear more and more about the foundation and what was going on. And I started to meet some of the people. I mean, the staff are great. They are totally committed to the cause and the purpose of the foundation. I would watch deckhands on the boat that would come on, living off of tips, I think, at the boat at that time, and end up being captains.
Right.
Cap would, what are there? 7 different captains that moved up through the ranks. So it was seeing staff, that commitment to conservation, the commitment to the foundation really said, this is the place I should try to get on the board. And I've been on other boards. I was a president at the National Mitigation Bank Association, which was an industry, a nonprofit advocacy group. But really, I've been on a little small conservation organization, nonprofits, but not a big one. And as I started to see the foundation, I said, no, I'm going to try. So I tried, what was it, probably 5 years ago now. And it took a horrible change in the organization, the loss of Greg, to finally see they had to do some changes and bring new people in on the board. And they had my application sitting there, and I'm sure they just blew some dust off us and said, here's somebody that's actually interested. So, and I kept pushing. And finally, the dream came true.
We're so excited to have you. I mean, we've known each other just a short while, but you've been a really involved board member and really passionate and really personable. And if people out there have experience working with boards of directors, oftentimes they're a little bit inaccessible, right? So I really appreciate how much you engage with the staff and how committed and passionate you are about all the programs and initiatives. So it's a good story.
Yeah, but it's important that, I see the staff. Every time I come over, I go to see them and I just watch them work, and you watch the passion and you watch the commitment. It energizes me.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
And it's cute. I mean, when a board member comes into the office that maybe, some people on my graphics team or my, my fundraising team, and we introduce them to a board member, it's like, it's like such an exciting holy moment for people. Like, these are the people keeping our doors open. This is so exciting. And it's really nice to see you come in and make sure you're making a point of shaking everyone's hand and letting them know what a good job they're doing.
And let me add another point too, because the other half of this are people like Bob and my sister and Courtney, the volunteers. No matter where I went, what I did, I was always impressed by them. The first year I was on the board, it's the first time I did the walk run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a runner. I've never done a timed run, but I did a timed run. And it was the volunteers that got me through it, because I'm anything but a runner.
How far did you run, Wayne?
You know, isn't this a run? No, I'm supposed to walk. I'm walking. No, I got to run. And they kept pushing you along and pushing you along, and it was really nice. You get back, and you couldn't do that today, but you had the volunteers come up and hug and thank you and congratulate you and all of that. So the volunteers play such an important part of this organization also.
Yeah. I want to add to that. I did, my friend Amelia and I did the 11.5 mile walk a few years ago. It was probably February of 2018. So those of you who know me know I'm not the most athletic person. So we spent a lot of time training, and I'm a big planner. So I put our whole calendar together and we worked up to the big walk. So we did the 11.5 mile walk. The exciting thing about it is in the rankings that you guys published, all of the longer walkers are before the shorter runners, even if they're way slower. So we were, there was only one person who took longer than us, but we were still kind of in the top 70 because there weren't that many people that did the long distance. But we were so thankful because, I mean, we were tying up, the road was shut down so that the two of us and the person behind us could finish. And the volunteers were still there. They had packed up most of the stuff, but they were sitting in the cars waiting for us because they knew there were still a few people giving us refreshments and encouragement. So it was just so amazing. And when we're on island, and we recently had a volunteer lunch as well on a whale watch, just getting to meet everyone and talk to them is so great.
Two things. One, I witnessed Wayne crawl over the finish line of the Run and Walk for Whales this past February.
2 years and 2 pictures, the same picture, coming crawling over the line.
And the second is, MK, I'm totally with you, because I walked or jogged the 1K this year, and Wayne witnessed me working as I'm coming through the finish line. And then they announced me as one of the winners for some reason, and Wayne's like, something's fishy. Here,
you and Christy, right.
And I swear nothing was fishy. I have no idea how it happened, but it was a fun day, very fun day.
It was.
MK, since you're talking, I want to hear about the moment that you decided to apply and join as a director.
Yeah, I've always loved animals, especially whales, and getting involved in causes to protect the environment and the ocean. So for me, I fell in love with the organization from afar, like I mentioned. So it was around February of 2018 when I was there, and the organization unfortunately was going through a lot of change with Greg, the founder's passing. So at the time I had talked to Christy, our executive director, and some other members that were on the board at the time to express interest that one day I would love to get involved. So it was just perfect timing, unfortunately, due to an event like that. But there was a lot of change going on in the organization, and once they were ready to have some more people talk about joining the board, I put my name in the hat. So I'm really excited it worked out.
Yeah, I remember you telling me at a dinner, I knew I had to be on this board of directors. I just had to do it, you know, like you felt so passionate and needed to find a way to make it happen. And I remember loving that story and your excitement when I met you at dinner that one night.
Yeah, I had to go through a friend of a friend of a friend to try to track down some people to talk to, so it worked.
That's the way you do it. It's called the Coconut Wireless.
Yeah.
And we were just talking so much about volunteers. Bob, do you want to share? I mean, you volunteered with the organization for so many years before you made the decision or the change to come on as part of the board of directors. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, as you said, yes, I did a lot of volunteering. Part of my background is doing a similar activity for an environmental nonprofit on the East Coast, which is where my business career was, and had chances to work with boards and work with very committed and passionate folks. And so as I volunteered along at the foundation, I started to meet the folks who were there, meet the the staff, meet the other volunteers, and realize that this was an organization that had that same core drive and that same passion for taking care of the environment and the elements involved in it. But for me, it was just a matter of doing everything I possibly could to make the organization successful as a volunteer. And I got the reverse surprise that when a board position opened up, Sandy, who is Wayne's sister, and I had worked together before, and she recommended to Wayne that I might be interested. So I actually got the call from the board to see if I wanted to participate. And I absolutely said yes. It was a matter of just fulfilling something that I thought was very valuable here on the East Coast, or the West Coast rather. And I still had to go through the vetting process, so it wasn't one of those where I got tapped on the shoulder one day and I'm sitting in a chair the next. And so I think I did a fair evaluation, and I'm glad I came to the top and they made an offer to me to come and join.
Nice. And I remember our first meeting, I had to introduce you via our newsletter, our quarterly newsletter, Beyond the Breach. And you dove in right away and said, I want to get involved in the development and the fundraising. Let's look at the data. How do we make this better? How do we make it more efficient? And I was like, hallelujah. This is so exciting to have somebody with this skill set really be hands-on, right? And helping us with our membership program and our donations database, and really helping us try to deep dive into making that a more efficient process for potential donors and members. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Courtney, what was your moment of inspiration?
Well, so the way I actually found out that there was an available board position, which I thought this was a really great idea, you guys actually sent out an email to all the volunteers saying, you know, these are people that are already obviously passionate about the organization. Maybe we have somebody, you know, in this group of volunteers that would be interested. And so I'm an accountant. I've always been an accountant, and I enjoy it, but it's not uncommon amongst accountants to say, you know, well, if I wasn't doing accounting, what would I really love to do? And ever since I was a child, like my not accounting career would have been marine biology. So, you know, when I got this email saying we're looking for a treasurer, you know, somebody with this finance and accounting background, I was like, well, this is perfect. Like, this is as close as I'm ever going to get to the field of marine biology while still being an accountant, you know, certified public accountant. So it really just seemed like everything kind of came together when I saw that. And especially, you know, being a resident on Maui, but working remotely, I really wanted to find a way to keep being connected to the community and, you know, immersed in the culture and really be present on island. And that's really important to me. So this has been a really good way to do that. And it feels good. I enjoy donating my time.
Yeah, I know we were incredibly excited to have a Maui board member. Our board is, I mean, we do have, most of them are here at least part-time, most of you, but somebody that's really of this community and like living and breathing local issues and ways that we can be more involved with local decision makers. And, you know, again, so much of what we do here can be subjective. So it's really important to have that balance of local and non-local board members, right? To ensure that we're engaging a broad audience of interests and needs and ways that they can be rethinking, whether it's advocating for different bills in their local government or just hosting a cleanup for a local school or adopting a marine mammal. My favorite story is of the young child who adopted a dolphin for his Colorado classroom and sent me a picture with his adoption certificate while he's all in his snow garb. I mean, it's just really incredible how people from all different parts of the world come together and support this organization. So thank you for being our Maui representative, Courtney. Well, I think I'm gonna try to wrap things up because we've been online for so long, but if you guys have closing comments that you'd like to share with folks that are gonna have the opportunity to listen to this podcast or watch this webcast now. I know we weren't totally prepared to go on Facebook Live, but we did because it worked, because Zoom is working today. What kind of remarks would you like to share as we close out?
Actually, as the chair,
yes,
I have great kudos for you and your staff for what you're doing and reaching out and marketing and such. But more importantly, I really want to thank MK, Courtney, and Bob. Being on the board is not always fun. First thing we had to do was deal with bylaws, all those things that you think, oh, they're all there, don't have to worry about it. We actually spend a lot of time doing that, but it gets us into the fun part of it too. So thank the four of you, and Kelly, you and your staff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say echo that, and thanks to all the staff, everyone at Pacific Whale Foundation. I know it's a tough time right now, but we are all rooting for you, and to all our supporters that are watching and that are sharing and are joining our $5 fundraiser. It goes so far, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add that it's been a pleasure to work with an organization that's been able to sustain itself for 40 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 40.
I just really want to say thank you to, our supporters and the local community. I can definitely tell that, all of our supporters are as anxious for us to get, back up and running out on the water as we are. So I really appreciate, I can definitely feel the love, and it makes this job easier, and it makes it feel really worthwhile.
Well, I really appreciate this board of directors so much, and taking this big chunk out of your time in your very different time zones today to be the features of our 6th PWF podcast. Again, my name's Kelly Mchugh White, and this has been PWF Podcast, featuring dedicated professionals talking story about responsible whale watching, rethinking purchases for the good of the ocean, ways to engage youth in STEM learning, moments of inspiration, and more. And my closing remark is, please, if you can, join our $5 fundraiser. You can do so at pacificwhale.org/donate. And on that same page, you can join our email communications list and find all of our outlets, from Facebook to YouTube to Twitter to Instagram, so that you're getting news about what we're doing every single day the way that you want to receive that news. So I'm going to pause our recording here, and mahalo nui to each and every one of you, and please stay safe.